I hope everybody's situated in the seat you want to be. Thank Phyllis and all the group here at the City Hall is trying to get us all separated like we should be. If y'all are not happy the way you're seated now, where you're seating at, if you want to spread out, however y'all want to do it, you're welcome to do it now. Okay? Okay, I'll go ahead and call the Livingston Municipal Planning Commission meeting to order. I want to welcome each one of you here tonight. Thanks for being here. Item number 2 is approval of the January the 27th, 2000 minutes. Y'all had a chance to look at those. We've been back some time. Last meeting in January.
I move to approve the minutes.
We have Roberts made a motion to approve the minutes. I need a second.
My second.
Second by Matilda. All for. Let's see your hands, please. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, consideration of final site plan for property located on Hillview Drive, the Lee site plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What we have in front of us this evening is a site plan to construct a second single-family residence on property located at 221 yes, sir, please. At 221 Hillview Drive. It would be in the back of an existing single-family residence. You all have a copy of the site plan in front of you for review, and it is just off of Main Street. As you can see, all of the adjoining property owners are listed on the site plan, as well as the location of the existing utilities, water, sewer, and natural gas and electric. Setbacks are listed here, and based upon what we have approved in the past to allow single-family homes on an existing parcel in an R2 zoning district. This would not be a permitted use in an R1 district, but due to the fact that it is an R2, based upon things that we have approved in the past, building inspector and I have looked it over, and we feel that this is a permitted use. However, it would need a site plan for us to approve. One of the issues here is that ingress egress for the proposed new building would need to be determined. One of the proposals is for an easement across of the adjoining parcel to the west, which is the David Sadler property. We have Miss Lee and Miss Sadler both here tonight, that in case there are questions or in case things need to be discussed. And so with that, that's pretty much the summation of the submitted site plan. Like I said, our codes enforcement officer, Christian Mansell, Mr. Sadler, Miss Lee, are all here present tonight, and so I'm sure you guys have questions. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you now.
Christian, do you have anything you want to add to what Tommy's given us?
No, sir.
If you would, come up to it, please.
I'm not Mr. Sadler.
Mr. Sadler, move right up there.
Because you know me all your time.
Hit that button right in the middle there.
Okay. Don and me talked about this, and actually that property is property I acquired from Charles Lewis Beerby. Well, you know where it is, Philip, down in there, all the ponds and all that. But that road that cuts down into it, she can't hardly do an easement to the left. Hey, Robert, to the left of her house. It's just would be a problem. Now the road, my road, is just perfect. But now I don't know what's going to happen to this property, or who's going to be in. I know who's going to be in the house now, who she's building it for. And that's fine. Well, I told her we'd talked it over, and her property, my property, but they're talking about if something happened or if that changed on or whatever, then it wouldn't be my road. And I had agreed, I said, I'll agree with you to let you use that road. And I'd sign that, but if something happens to that person out of that house or something happens, I feel like I still ought to have a say-so in what happens. It's my property, my road. And that's the only concern. Now, I don't think, period, there would be a problem, because there's really not that, it's a little road down there, but still yet, that's my road. And for me to, just give it up and not knowing the future of it, if I had some say in the future of it, I don't have a problem at all. But I just can't see me, well, here it is, and do what you want to with it. Not that she's going to do that. That's not a problem. I'm not worried about her. But, that's, in essence, that's what it's about. That's kind of my feelings on it.
I'm not really sure on this, Tommy, about, what, 5 years?
Pardon?
What are you talking about? Years on down the road? How many years are you talking about, David?
Probably as long as she has the person down there in that house that we've agreed on, which I think is a sister, that she's taking care of, kind of. I don't have, a problem with that, but if something happens to her, or it changes, maybe Diane might want to leave. I don't know. I don't know. That's not here or there. We can't determine, but
That just because when. But still, yet they couldn't block you out or anything of that nature.
well, then what? If I understand it, then if Diane decides to sell it, or should, Lord forbid, something happened to her sister, and maybe she wants to sell that house, that lot, blah blah blah, to somebody else, that I might not, that I might not be agreeable to. But yet they still have access on my property and my road, and it might be, who knows? And that's where my problem comes in. It's kind of, I don't have a say-so once I give that easement to who goes in there. And that's kind of a problem to me. I mean, I won't say so about and I don't have a problem. I don't even have to say she can have what she wants with her family. That's fine. I don't have a problem there. But after that, well, Christian might want to move down there, and I want that road shut. I don't want him down there. But you understand where I'm coming from. That's just I'm agreeable to her and her situation. But when that's over, I want it over. And then somebody else wants to come in and get an easement or something, we'll talk again, I suppose. That's my take on it.
Sure, I certainly understand Mr. Sadler's concerns in regards to an ingress-egress easement. And from what I understand about easements, if granted ingress-egress easement to this back area, that would be a very difficult situation because Mr. Sadler is right in one instance. He would still own the property, obviously, no matter what. But if he grants ingress egress to whoever is living back in this new house, they would have the right to transfer back and forth as they pleaded for as long as the house is there. If ownership changes, the easement would not change legally unless there would be some kind of stipulation drawn up like that. And that's a difficult, like you're talking about, that's tough. Because with regards to ingress egress, the person who is using the easement has to be the one to terminate it. Mr. Sadler could not terminate that easement agreement if left in perpetuity. That's the way I understand it anyway, regarding that. So yeah, I certainly understand your dilemma there. And to me, as a planner, I have zero issue with what's going on here, with the exception of the in and out, getting in and out of the property, and that's certainly something I think we have to take into consideration when we're looking at this way.
See, I guess that kind of that's kind of the sticking point. You tell me it's my property and this and that, but I can't terminate the road. Somebody that don't own the property terminates my rights to my property. That's not even right. That's where I come in. It's my property, but I can't have a say-so in it, but yet somebody that don't have a dime in it has a say-so on what, that's.
And understand, Mr. Sadler, that's not city policy. That's easement law, how that works. And I would have a hard time knowing, approving this site plan, knowing that there's a possibility that this back house would not have ingress egress one day. I would like to ask Ms. Lee a question, if you don't mind, ma'am. I know that the easiest thing, obviously, is going to be to come off of this proposed, the existing gravel drive. What would be, is there any reason why, I understand that the east side of the property, access there is not going to be available due to topography. What's wrong with the west side, I guess, would be my issue, my question for you. Why could you not have access to this back house off the west side of the property?
Where's the west side?
The property that borders Mr. Sadler's.
You're talking about
There's a light.
There's a light pole there.
yeah, the road. There's not enough.
There's not enough.
So on either side, there's okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Address and, would you have my address? It's just for my sister, she's handicapped, disabled, so it's just for me to be able to take care of her, or she's right there for me. Can it not just be a guest home?
That would be a question for the codes enforcement officer.
Well, if the only problem that I would see would be to access, just say, a fire truck or ambulance is really what is the whole thing I'm looking for. I'm not concerned with a driveway or anything. So by our building codes, we need a way to get, God forbid, an ambulance in there or a fire truck in there. There has to be a way in there. So, if he comes in and fences that off, which that's his right to do that, then you're definitely locked out. If something happened now with no fence there, yeah, they could drive in there. But who knows, if David fences his property off, then we're locked out of that. And there's no way to access to get in there. That's the reason we have we require access, egress on our windows, our doors to get people in and out of. And that's the main reason, and it's a building codes issue about getting in and out with fire or medical.
Christian, off of Hillview Drive, coming up there, there's any way to get access off of that?
She could come off on which would be back to the east of her house, coming out, if you're facing her house, would be on the left side. It would be a costly adventure. It's very steep coming down and some things to move.
Okay.
I mean, that is the possibility. It's just the gravel drive is already there, that goes through Mr. Sadler's property, which, as far as cost effectiveness would be more in the realm of what Miss Lee is, prepared, looking to be able to do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. Of course, I can stand here before you and say, I'm not going to do that, which is not, but then what if I change hands? What if this and that? I don't know if I could sign an easement. That's my problem, is just, I would give her an easement, sign her an easement for her sister in that house. Not a problem. And then it's great. I mean, you can get right in there and it's done. And I would certainly, I don't want to be a villain here. I certainly don't want to do that. We have a good relationship, and I want her to do that. And certainly any ambulance, fire is welcome, that'd be for sure also. And I could sign something, say I'm not going to fence it off. That's what I was going to do with her, is give her a temporary easement, saying as long as and come to, I just thinking down the road, if she wanted to get rid of something, we'd probably still have the same conversation. Or she might offer to sell it to me. I don't know what might happen, but the conversation would be, well, my sister, this and that, and it'd be the same thing, a temporary deal, but just to sign an easement and then say it's my property, but I don't have any say in what goes on, I don't like that. That just doesn't sound right. But as far as fire departments and anything, that's open now. They can go anywhere they want to. I mean, I wouldn't care about anything like that. So, but I would be willing to sign a temporary easement for that house, for sure. Anybody, anybody, but just to tell me that, okay.
As a planning commission, Ms. Lee, I'm sure that we don't have any issue with what you're doing right now as opposed to building a house for your sister. But as a planning commission, we also can't look at that alone. We have to look at what happens in the future. We have to look at what happens 30, 40 years from now with this to avoid future problems. So I don't want you to think that we're certainly not sympathetic to what you're doing, because certainly are. But as a planning commission, we have to look at everything.
David, Miss Lee, how do you get to your house now? Do you use David's Road?
No, I have a drive. It's right there from my house, right off the road.
She's on Hill.
Okay, can that be extended back to the second house?
Be very expensive. I have trees, grapevines, shed, and it's very steep.
Okay, it's not on this diagram we've got.
It'd be more than what I can afford.
Well, Robert, it is kind of, you see that on the right? It's the place we're talking about, where that little circle is, and there's a garage carport there. It's a carport, that's a carport.
Okay,
And to the right there is comes down through there. There's actually more room there than there is on my road, but my road is right, it's already done, and you turn and go down.
oh yeah, I know that, it's been there for years.
Yeah.
This is something, I've been on this committee for 20 years, and I've never seen one of these like this before.
Typically, access is not the issue in the city.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's on a city street or, you know, something like that. So yeah, this is something we don't see very often. One thing that Matilda is talking about is what if we, like Mr. Sadler was talking about, if he gave temporary access to, for a certain amount of time or until there was a change in ownership. And I said, I don't, I don't believe, Christian, that it would be, if the easement were to expire, I don't believe that it would be able to be occupied due to restricted access.
That is correct. If the change of if the easement expired, the house would not become a habitable place because of egress. I mean, it would negate that being a legal place to get in and out of. So, you know, that's where we're at.
Well. And I guess that would be kind of a question for Diane there. If we did something, or if, you know, what would you want to do about that when your house would become, I don't know what, I don't have any future, I can't tell the future what's going to happen or anything like that. But now, as long as her sister's there, I don't have a problem. I wouldn't have a problem. 5, 10, 20, I don't care how. I hope she lives whatever, a long time. I don't have a problem. And it's hypothetical, probably wouldn't have any problem ever again, you know. But now I've got rental property right there in town. I've had big drug dealers in. Now, I mean big time, living right by me. Right by me. Like to never got them out of there. Core everything, you know. Of course, the law's seems on their side. You know, I had to go through all kinds, and everybody knew it, and everybody knew it, but I couldn't get them out of there. So I've got that concern that who is going to be on that road. Took me a while to clear that out anyway. It's a big party place down. It goes down there to the ponds. It used to be our city water when we was growing up. And there used to be a big party area down. I had to do some cleaning up around there. But, yeah, I'm kind of concerned on something like that. Otherwise, it wouldn't bother me a bit. And still don't if we could, you know.
Miss Lee, just for argument's sake, let's say your sister were to no longer live in that house at some point in the future. What would your plan be?
And just be back there for when my kids come visit.
So would you rent the house, or would you?
No, I don't want to ever rent. So, no.
Mr. Sadler, as long as, what about if something like that were to happen? Would you, and her sister would no longer live in that house, would you continue to allow Miss Lee to have easement to that?
Yeah.
To that?
Yeah, I see her kids, they just left, I guess. But, yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Yep.
And if she wanted to do anything, then we talk again. You know, I'm up and down that road every day. So that's another thing concern. I've got stuff, I'm down in there every day.
And Mr. Sadler, you could write the terms of the easement where whoever's using it to go back to that house, they would not be able to go any farther along that road, you know. I mean, enforcement of that would be tough, but legally you can write that into the description of the easement.
And I wouldn't.
Well, you would certainly have a say-so in it, but you just could not restrict access for whoever you gave the right to use the easement.
Do we, Tommy? Do we even have the authority to do this?
To approve this site plan?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Christian and I, after discussing it, we consider this multifamily. 2 houses on one piece of property.
I wouldn't have any problem approving it as soon as these two parties can work out an agreement. If you want to go years or whatever you want to do. But I want you two to be in agreement. I don't want to get in the middle of a battle.
That's not, we're aiming for, no, I mean, that's not a problem.
If you all can reach an agreement on an easement, I'll be all for this.
And Robert, I think, because Christian will have to be the one to issue the certificate of occupancy. So Christian could be our police on this in regards to. Correct, yes. And so they could show him the easement when/if they get to that point. And so, again, I appreciate that perspective. I just certainly we must, as a planning commission, think for the future with regards to this. They could come and stay, they just couldn't be residents without ingress, egress.
They live out of state, so, yeah.
Yeah, yes, ma'am, they do now. But things can change with that regard.
So that could be.
So first of all, by law, a temporary easement is definitely legal. So a temporary easement happens all the time. It happens for loggers, it happens for people in the oil business and things of this nature. And there, the problem is this has to be wrote up where this house has to be something besides its own place when this is done. So you would have some work to do as far as your deed goes to make sure that we did not open up a can of worms and say, this place has its own address and we can't get to it because David Sadler denied the easement when your sister or whatever happens if you decide to sell the property. So that's a situation that none of us want to be in. We want to do what's right up front to secure this. And so that being said, it's going to take a little more paperwork on your part, figuring out, using this as your sister's home, but, if something happens to your sister or, then it wouldn't have its own address. And so, I'm not sure how all this legally works, but I just don't want us to start setting a precedence where, something is not, we have to do it right. And I'm not 100% sure how to do it, but we have to make sure that, we're not setting something up for the future to keep happening, and we don't want to be in this situation.
I have a question. Is this property going to have a driveway, or can you walk from your house to this? If it's just to where an ambulance or something can come down, or a fire department, then that's one situation. So if you're not gonna actually build a driveway to that house, then that could be a little bit different, that you have a walkway from your house to this house. Is that, or are you gonna have to have a driveway to get to it?
The driveway or the road is my road, and it goes, if you look at that, diagram, Matilda, that looks like a lot of space there. When you go by the house to turn left down on the road, there's not. If you could draw a line just about a foot beside that house is where my line is. Now that looks like a lot of room, but there's not. There's my driveway and that's it. It's butted up right next to her house. Right up next to it. So it goes down behind there, and then you'd have, I suppose, a little driveway turning into the house.
I mean, you could actually, from the front door of this new proposed home, you could have a sidewalk that would come up beside the house and access you back to the street. You know, I mean, that is definitely a possibility, and it's flat enough, it wouldn't be like you're dropping off over that hill on the east side. I mean, that is a possibility.
She's not physically able, I don't think. That's the purpose of this whole thing.
I was just thinking that, not necessarily for her, but for the access situation.
Exactly.
More of the
I
access.
see, and then do what we want to do anyway. Is that what you mean? or-
Well, I just wondered, do you have to have that?
So what we were looking at is using his drive
Right.
as the road, say that would be the road in front of this new house. And then she would have a small gravel driveway turning in to the left. So no one will be parking on him, they would have to park in their driveway. So there would be a driveway going to the front of that house. I mean, that's what we actually require.
With hearing all this, Christian, and the two parties here tonight, I think we have to have something worked out with these couples here. And I don't think we can prove any of this tonight till this is done. And we got to do it legally and do it right for, like you said, on years to come on down, what's happening. And then come right back at us. Well, you done it for this one now, why can't you do it for us? Yeah. So
I think that's definitely the question. That's definitely our problem, and that's definitely something that, we do not want to be fighting on down the road. This is when we have a home, that someone's going to be living in as a residence, then we have to have access to it, and that's what's intended. That's what we've known the whole time. That's why we've asked David to be here, because she can't do it without it. Without spending a lot of money and coming off a steep bank and, moving her carport on the left side of her house, on the east side.
Well, I do think that we could potentially grant this, approve this site plan, and with an ingress-egress easement due to the fact, steep slope on the east side of the property, steep slope between the main house and the proposed new house. Those are reasons to allow something like this. And just to be honest, the majority of homes, multifamily site plans that we're going to see are going to have road access. So I am worried about precedent, certainly. But I feel like that we can make the case for this if they can get their details worked out, where precedent we could avoid in the future. But we do also have to consider that if there were to be a case that were similar to this that were to come up, and we approve Ms. Lee's request, we'd better have a good reason not to approve another one.
That's really, Tommy, the reason that I don't want to approve this tonight. I don't feel comfortable about it, and I think that those couples need to get together and come back later, and then we're gonna have to look at it legally. Can we do this? The only thing I'm saying, I don't feel good on, right now with, Miss Lee and David, right now till they get everything worked out. So,
So as far as the timeline goes, so just say they leave here and they get all this worked out tomorrow. Can we fast forward, something to help this project get rolling along, for her as far as getting her building site going and?
It'd be up to you, Mr. Chairman. You call the meetings.
We'd have to call another meeting.
Let's call a meeting.
yeah, we'd have to have another call meeting. You could let us know on it, Christian.
Okay.
What's worked out, and we'll try to have a call meeting and get this settled. And while I'm talking, is this okay with the board I'm talking to tonight? Is all, Rebecca? Right.
And Rick, no, I'm sorry, and don't forget Ricky, please.
Okay.
I agree. I agree with the chairman.
Is that suitable for y'all tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we can work something out here.
Okay, that's what, okay.
I think this needs to be a legal document between you. Between the two of you.
But I'd like to go tonight and table this for us right now, okay? And Christian, if you would, if you can work with them, if it does come up in the next 2 days or a week, we'll try to plan on having a meeting then and try to keep her from, being backed up on her home being built there. Is that okay? Okay. Is that suitable with y'all? Okay. 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 All right. See where we got to here. Okay. Item 4, staff report, Martin Division.
Yes, this was another one that, as we had in December, this was one that during the COVID-19 pandemic, that it met all requirements. And after speaking with Chairman McCormick and Mayor Hayes, we decided to do this one administratively so we didn't have to get together. It met all of our subdivision regulations and all our zoning requirements. It's Dewey Martin Division, 3.15 acres into 2 proposed new lots located on Woodlawn Street and South Hillcrest Drive. Lot 1 is 1.87 acres, existing residence. Lot 2 is 1.28 acres, currently vacant. 6-inch water line, 8-inch sewer line, like I said, combines with all regulations, so we went ahead and administratively approved that subdivision plat. And just to get back to the Lee site plan, just so you guys know, if you guys work something out, we do have to run this in the paper with public notice. I think 5 days is our requirement on special call planning commission meetings. So you're probably looking at it the quickest couple weeks out that we could have another meeting. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
We have any other business to talk about, anything? If not, I need a motion that we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Rebecca,
Second.
second by Robert. All for, hands, aye. Okay. Okay. Got it.